Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby.
You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You're the blackest one in this room.
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border. And then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on American soil. So he became the anchor baby. You don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, I'm the American Anchor Baby, and this is my show. Thank you for tuning in. About to get going here. Got a nice show ahead. You guys still tripping about Santa and telling kids about their belief in Santa? And that it's pagan? That you're abusing children by telling them that there's this entity that will come down your chimney or your chimney with gifts? What are you, a bad parent? What are you, a bad parent? Well, Northwest, Kanye West's daughter, you know her, Northwest, doesn't quite think so. I want to show you this.
I know Santa Claus is not real. I know that.
How do you know that?
I know that because it's so crazy to think there's one person that can go all over the world that's not God.
I kind of still believe in Santa because you have to believe in magic.
little Northwest, Kanye West's daughter, being pretty based on the Santa question here. Okay, look, come on, folks. Didn't you guys figure this one out growing up? Didn't you figure this one out on your own growing up? You put two and two together, huh? Using the abilities of reasoning that God gave you and your father cultivated, maybe. Nah, I'm over it. It doesn't bother me anymore that Santa is fake. Right on, Chris. But don't you care about the magic? You see what I'm saying? Didn't you guys figure this one out as a kid? Oh, it's abuse. I feel like I sure did. I grew up and just figured it out. I don't know if I ever really believed such an amazing claim, but maybe I was one of those. Maybe I didn't really have any. Maybe I didn't have a childhood or any Christmas spirit. But come on, you guys can relate a little bit here, right? You guys figured that one out, right? So stop with this abuse stuff. Oh, it's abuse. The children figure it out on their own, and they're fine. They're just fine. She says, it's not like Santa can go around one person and go to every house like God. He's not God, says Northwest. He's not God. Right on, little girl. Phony. Was that phony? Was that phony from Kim Kardashian? You gotta believe. I think I still believe in Santa. You gotta believe in Santa, right? You gotta believe in magic. I believe in magic.
For the world that's not God.
I kind of still believe in Santa because you have to believe in magic.
Isn't that kind of like, you know, like you say things like that are cute, that have some meaning to them. You know, someone like me saying, I believe in Santa. Now, you guys know I don't believe in Santa, but I believe in the spirit of Christmas. And why am I saying it funny? I believe in that spirit of Christmas and a real feeling of thankfulness, huh? So you guys know what I mean when I say that. But why do I get the feeling when Kim Kardashian says it? Maybe I'm judging her. Maybe I'm being judgmental. Christmas spirit, phony Kim, witch Kim. Some are saying she's a witch. That her family, the Kardashians have a witchy past. They say it's misogynist to say that, so I won't go around repeating such horrible misogynist things, tropes like comparing women to witches. Don't you know that a lot of women died over that misogynist comparison? Kim K and I share a B-Day. Wish we shared a bank account, that's for sure. But hey, I was going to say, maybe you don't want to because they'll take half, but I don't know if, I'm not trying to judge you, Chris, but I don't know if Kim K is looking for your millions. Hey, maybe you got millions. I don't know what I'm talking about. Don't reveal otherwise in the chat, Chris. Let the people think what they want to think. You know what I mean? Don't divulge too much information. Let the ladies think you got the written. Anyways, let's move on from that. Christmas time. You know, I'm talking about Northwest here. As a little segue into Ye, Kanye West. What Ye doing? What the Ye doing? Kanye West in the news. What's he up to lately? Oh, he's wearing KKK hoods. He's wearing KKK hoods. Is that what's going on here? This guy at it again. First anti-Semitism and now KKK hoods. Oh, he's not anti-Semitic. He just had relations with a Jewish individual. You hear in the lyrics. The man is not anti-Semitic. He's had relations. Okay, I'm just playing around. They're saying he's disgusting for what he's wearing here. A KKK hood. And I think he's standing next to the little Northwest there. He's kind of vulgar lyrics there for a little girl, but normally I would maybe say something, but the father is there, okay? Her dad is there, her father's there, so we're going to let him handle it. He seems to think it's fine, then so be it, okay? Let the dad handle it. Well, you can't be saying that stuff around a kid. I don't know if I would, but let the father handle it, huh? They're calling him disgusting for his KKK-style hood that he wore at this Vultures listening party. The man is a prolific entertainer, music producer, etc., and he's still coming out with music, you know, despite all the negative attention he's got in the last few years, huh? He wore a Ku Klux Klan style hood at a listening party for his upcoming album Vultures, which is expected to be released on Friday. The Guardian says this, but I don't think so. They say it's coming out on Friday. Don't hold your breath, The Guardian. Don't hold your breath. West wore the garment, a pointed black hood with eye holes, on stage at the event in Miami, my birthplace. I'm an anchor baby. From Canada, born in Miami. What a mess. Kanye West. You know, he's done this kind of stuff before, right? Black skinhead, the black hoods. It's imagery his fans are probably used to. But with all that's happened, oh no, he's not playing. He really is a racist or anti-Semite or whatever they call him. It's been an amazing saga. An amazing saga with Kanye, with Ye, if you followed it all. He's always been a little bit, you know, they say wild. Definitely, you definitely never know with Kanye what he's going to do next. But him and his daughter seem to get along, huh? I find that nice. You know, despite the huge mess, if you've ever followed any of my light coverage of the Kardashians and how, if you've paid any attention, they don't like men. That's my take. That's my conclusion. They go along with the world. It's anti-man world. Even despite Kim Kardashian recently going viral for hiring a manny. She literally paid another male, to outsource the job of a father in the home. And I'm not making that up. She said that herself. She said that, I'm paraphrasing, but that the female influence in the Kardashian home has been negative and that she wants a male influence. And no, she didn't bring the husband, the father, back into the home. No. She just outsourced it. She just paid some guy. So anyways, but I like that the Kanye West and North West, they seem to get along. She seems to take after her father here, always kind of shouting him out and dressing like him. And now she's got a single, apparently. She was at this Vultures party next to her father while he was singing about how can I be anti-Semitic? I just had relations, sir, with a lovely Jewish individual. He didn't quite say it like that, but anyways. Let's go. Well, should I even be allowed to play this? This isn't copyright, is it? Anyways, I'll put it with no voice, but I just want to show you Lil Northwest looking like Ye in that getup, drowning in her clothes. A father and a daughter. Hey, it's lovely. Okay. But anyways, I'm reading about this little story. And I'm reading about this in The Guardian. Okay, so I'm reading the story. And it says here, and it brings up the whole DEFCON 3 stuff when he was talking about Jewish people. And The Guardian here, he writes, Adidas cuts ties with the rapper following the anti-Semitic comments, ending a lucrative partnership that had launched the rapper's Yeezy trainer brand to huge success. You remember that? You know, Yeezy, huge footwear brand created by Kanye West, distributed or whatever by Adidas. I don't know what you call it. They cut ties following these anti-Semitic comments. Wait, hold up. Back it up. Because my memory, am I getting Mandela affected here? My memory tells me this went down a little bit different. I think we need to pull up the timeline here. Because things didn't go, I don't know, my memory tells me it went down a little bit different. Because if you read this Guardian article, and if you look it up and you look at other articles, they'll tell you that Adidas dropped Yeezy due to his anti-Semitic remarks. Adidas ends partnership with Ye over anti-Semitic remarks. Do you see this? If you read The Guardian, if you read these articles, you'll come out thinking, wow, that's why Adidas dropped him. That's why Adidas dropped Yeezy. But wait a second. I don't quite remember it like that. And just a little bit of research here. You pull up the Adidas Yeezy article on Wikipedia, and you scroll on down to the termination section. What does that say, folks? That says October 7th. Okay. We're doing a little sleuthing here. October 7th, 2022, Adidas placed in partnership with West under review after he made several anti-Semitic remarks. If you read this Wikipedia article, you'll think the same thing. But wait a second. Keep reading this section. It says anti-Semitic remarks and wore a White Lives Matter t-shirt at a Paris Fashion Week days earlier. You kind of remembering that now? You remember when you wore the White Lives Matter shirt? And that got a lot of negative attention. He wore a shirt. He wore a shirt that said White Lives Matter and got negative attention in the media. Yeezy dropped by Adidas. And so, like I said, I'm remembering it differently. Media, mainstream media. And you look at this same Wikipedia article, and the best Wikipedia articles are cited. Where are your sources? Source? Citation? And in this claim of October 7th, there is, in fact, a citation. Well, thank you very much, Wikipedia article. We click on said citation. We're bringing up the timeline here, okay? We're getting serious. And it brings up a BBC article from October 6th, 2022. Adidas puts Kanye West Yeezy deal under review. But why? Adidas says it's reviewing its Yeezy partnership with Kanye West days after he showed a White Lives Matter t-shirt design at Paris Fashion Week. We do a little Control F, meaning searching of text on this article. Anti-Semitism brings up nothing. DEFCON, Jews. You see, the thing is, DEFCON 3, the day that Kanye West did that tweet about the Jews and got all that negative attention, was days after. It was on the 9th. It was days after the White Lives Matter thing. So The Guardian and all the people talking about Ye at the Vultures event wearing the KKK hood, and they throw in the little reminder of the saga that it was that Adidas dropped Yeezy over anti-Semitic remarks. Well, you're kind of leaving out the whole story here. You're kind of leaving out some of the story. You see what I'm saying? It was the White Lives Matter shirt that kicked it off. That's what ended the Yeezy stuff. And then after is when Kanye West came out and said, I'm going DEFCON 3 on, I'm a little sleepy right now, he wrote. He wrote, I'm a little sleepy right now, but when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. I disavow such things. You know, who knows what DEFCON 3, a lot of people assumed what DEFCON 3 meant. So maybe I don't need to disavow such things. Disavow the assumptions of people make. They don't know. Yay bass, total legend. I just needed to bring this out of the memory hole because the media does this a lot. Throwing stuff into the memory hole, as it's called lately. Rewriting articles, rewriting headlines. You'll look up an article that said one thing. A day, hours later, a day later, days later, that same article will have text changed, edited. The headline and text, the body of it. Sometimes for the better or the worse. The sinister thing about it is the nature of first impressions. Once you get that headline out and the eyeballs see it, you can change it afterwards, but the intended effect happened. People saw what you initially put out. Journalism at its finest. Leaving out what we all know on this show, which is just an open hatred of everything white, Christian, American. Just openly, too. Openly, just made fun of. Christians gaslit. Didn't they have this Christmas thing at the White House? They had this whole Christmas thing at the White House. I'm not going to show you the video, but it just didn't seem very Christmassy to me. It seemed Christmas adjacent and a little strange. And people in animal costumes, androgynous clothing. Apparently it's some group called Dorrance Dance, D-O-R-R-A-N-C-E Dance. Dorrance Dance. This group, their own website talks about abolishing prisons, defunding the police. This is on their website. I got this according to End Wokeness on X.com. So that's who the White House invited. Just makes you think, right? They tell us this is a Christmas thing. This is a holiday thing. Enjoy your holiday thing here, America. It is holidays. It is Christmas. Stop noticing weird things. Stop that. Stop being all the isms, they'll tell you. It's crazy. Anyways, this all goes into an interesting moment in the media that you may have noticed. Michelle Wu, you know about her? Anybody in Boston? Boston Mayor Michelle Wu under fire for a secret no whites Christmas party. No whites allowed. Probably heard about this. No whites Christmas. Well, she called it an electeds of color. Michelle Wu. She's been getting some pushback after inviting holding a holiday party for electeds of color, she calls it. She sent out this email to the Boston City Council, which is comprised of 6 minority and 7 white members. Isn't that a funny way of putting it? These are minorities and these are whites. All of you are minorities. All of you are white. You are different. 6 minority and 7 white members, okay? So she sent out this email mistakenly to everybody. Wu admitted it was a mistake that every member of the Boston City Council received invitations to the controversial holiday party and had already talked to those that were uninvited. So she sent out the email, realized her mistake 15 minutes later, uninvited those people. We had individual conversations with everyone, so people understand that it was truly just an honest mistake that went out in typing the email field. We had conversations with all of them. I know we excluded them from this party and we put out this whole thing, but don't worry, we talked to all of them and they said it's fine. It's an honest mistake, she says. And don't worry. Don't fret, white people. Okay? She's having the white party. They're going to have the white party. So stop freaking out, you racists. Why isn't this playing? Where's the audio?
So
here it is.
people understand that it was truly just. I think we've had individual conversations with everyone, so people understand that it was truly just an honest mistake that went out in typing the email field. And I look forward to celebrating with everyone at the holiday parties that we will have besides this one as well. So it is my intention that we can, again, be a city that lives our values and create space for all kinds of communities to come together.
All the community, she says, we're going to have the white party, okay? So calm down, you bunch of... Is that the vibe you're getting? Let's calm down, white people, okay? We're going to have your white party, okay? It's like white every day, okay? It's like we celebrate white every day, 365 days a year. You guys want a white party? I'm adding to it. She didn't do any of that. She didn't do any of that. I'm completely adding to it. Which might be wrong of me. But she admitted her mistake. She's going to have the white party, okay? She's going to have the white party. And you know what? It's not that it's offensive or not inclusive. It's not inclusive. You can't leave out the white people. It's that because people should have, they should have the freedom of association, right? You should be allowed to have the party, have a party with whoever you want. You should be able to do business with whomever you'd like. And decide not to do business, associate with, have a party with, live around people you don't want to associate with. It's an American thing. It should be your right to do that. And it's only in that space, in that created space, if I'm going to use their words, that you can actually have a chance at people actually coming together naturally. So it's not that, right? I mean, freedom of association's based, okay? You should be allowed to exclude whoever you want. It's just that, first of all, this is the government. So it takes on a different significance here. And it's that these are the people running the show. And they have no problem. They have no problem at all with excluding white people. And not only that, but after talking up equality, okay, every community, doing things together, love is love, love everyone. Okay, inclusivity. You know, it's like talking out of both sides of their mouth with that kind of stuff. And it's that Christianity, white people, America, they're constantly under attack. Things that are, and these are the building blocks of this country, okay? So it's significant. Without any of those, your whole life, even if you don't believe in it, your livelihood, everything you've enjoyed, if you're paying any attention at all, it's already been negatively impacted. You may not even understand why. You may not even realize why. You look around, homeless. I'm not making as much money, taxes. I don't know, just stuff in your life, in your personal lives. Well, guess what? Those things you might not think important, Christianity, white people, those things gone, your livelihood's gone. So for her to make it about, oh, it's just a mistaken email, everybody knows. Everybody's been there, right? You guys all understand me, right? You guys can relate. You guys have sent out an email to the wrong person. Whoopsie daisy. Come on, guys. It's just a mistaken email. But not everyone... She's saying, oh, can't you relate? We're all like this. We're all like this and mistakenly email people and we mistakenly send out invites. Oh, what a clumsy person I am. Can't you all relate? But not everyone relates, Michelle Wu. If you guys disagree, you can call 888-775-3773, but I think most of America is not like this. Like, there's hatred. People are divided like crazy. Anger out the gills. Most I've ever seen in my lifetime. But I think most people aren't like this, where they'll go around using these academic racial exclusionary words and creating space and just using all this weird terminology, number one. Going around, I'm having a colored party only. Now, I'm not saying that colored people, people of color, wouldn't agree with doing something like that or wouldn't want to do something like that, or even white people. But I'm just thinking, in general, most Americans aren't like that, of all kinds. Democrat, Republic, they're more just, there's hatred and anger, but they're a lot more chill compared to Michelle Wu and her kind, or her ilk. Tell me where I'm wrong. But I get the impression that as woke and as divided and as horrible all these things and as destroyed as Christianity may be, and they say happy holidays and blah, 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 most people aren't like this. Michelle Wu using the terms, putting out the emails, excluding, right? So don't make it like it's all this such a relatable thing. Oh, it's just a mistaken email. And shamelessly, too. It just goes to show, for me, that the people running the show in a lot of these cities and in law and politics, that they are shameless. They're totally shameless. And when it's brought out into the public and your own constituents, people in the public don't quite agree with you, you're like, oh, I'm going to have a party with everyone. Okay, it's just a mistake. If freedom of association was a thing, was an allowed thing, this wouldn't be an issue. This wouldn't be an issue if you were allowed to freely associate. But you can't do that. You can't do that. That's wrong, okay? And specifically, it's whites, Christians, heck, even just people with American flags, they aren't allowed to freely associate. Nope, that's a big no-no, big no-no. You risk media coverage. You risk people doxing you. Look at these racists at this racist domestic terrorist parade. They're about to go do another J6. I may be exaggerating a little bit, but I do it to just kind of illustrate a point here. Because you're not allowed to associate freely, and you should be. So it's not even about that, Michelle Wu. It's just that a lot of us already know what you're about. We know what you're about. And this shouldn't be a surprise. It is a surprise to some, but it shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be a surprise, okay? At all. I mean, look, this is her election night speech when she won. This is a woman who was elected in, okay? An elected mayor of Boston. The people of Boston elected this person. This is her, Michelle for Boston. We're going to need to turn that up a bit. We need to hear. Speak with your chest, Michelle.
Continuation of that for generations to come. Our movement is a continuation of that activism and community. Showing everyone what's possible when we all dig in and push for what we truly deserve. And what we deserve is a Boston where all of us are seen, heard, treasured, and valued.
Lord.
A Boston for everyone.
Except white people. Is that too loud where you can't hear me just yelling over the clip? Sometimes I go over my show and it's like I'm just yelling. You just can't hear me. I said, except for white people, I quipped.
We're ready for every child to go to a school connected to the full resources of our communities and their full potential. For every resident, from the Forbes building to Georgetown homes, to be protected from soaring rents and displacement.
Oh, man. You can't raise the rent on me. I'm poor. Let's skip over to this part.
All of this is possible. Todo esto es posible.
No way, she's talking to me. Todo es posible. Wait, you're saying this Asian lady speaking Spanish? Okay, she got my vote. Tout c'est l'or, madame. What are you speaking? She's talking like a French Canadian. Get your French together. Use the nice I like the French Canadians, though. And they're French.
这些都可以成为
都可以，这些。
We said these things are possible. And today, the voters of Boston said all these things are possible too.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be a surprise. It shouldn't be a surprise. We know it's not just Michelle Wu, okay? But it's the brainwashed folks of Boston, the people easily controlled emotionally. And when you use words like when you use these just words, like who wants to be a movement of activist class? I know it sounds nice, but it really isn't. We got to dig in and get what we deserve, she says. Doesn't she know that people get what they deserve? Boston is in its people, poor people in Boston are getting what they deserve. People going through whatever negative thing she's standing here promising to combat if you vote for her. Don't you understand that those people are getting what they deserve? We need to dig in and get what we deserve, she says to the people there. Communism. Because she's talking to a select, a percentage of the Boston population and America at large. So she's really asking those people to get militant and get what they want by any means necessary is what she's really saying. No more speaking English in America, guys. Sorry, no bueno, says Hillary. People are easily impressed. Trump fans are no better. Whatever, Kevin Howe. I don't need Trump to do much to impress, okay? He'll just do one of these. He'd pump out one of these, and I'm cheering, okay? So, whatever, Kevin Howe. Always a pleasure, though. I heard you're one of the good pagans. I almost don't want to say that. It feels rude. On the Hake Report, she said, all digging, you need to be seen and heard. You know, it's like black people. It's like, you know what? They should be allowed to have their black party if all things were fair. It may be a little bit different when taxpayer money is involved, but if all things were fair, it's like, go have your black party. But this is not just an innocuous little black party, okay? These people using their power, exercise it shamelessly against Christians, whites, Americans, and this is evidence of it. Total shamelessness. And we really shouldn't be surprised, okay? Yeah, no. Icy, cold with those YMC arms. Big time. You see what I'm saying here, folks? We should be freely allowed to associate. But these people don't care about those things. Freedom of association. They'll say that's racist. That's discriminatory. Should you not want to live around, do business with this or that group? And yet at the same time, they go around and do the very same thing. It's really evil. And the subtext speaks to the people of Boston. That's the crazy thing. The subtext speaks to them. Oh, anti-American. Okay, yeah. We're going to get all these things that we want because who's keeping it from us? It's these men and these white men and these old white men. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. We're going to get into based Poland. You hear about the Polish MP? We're going to get into this in a second here, but I got calls coming in. You can call me 888-775-3773. I'm fine. No need for air conditioning. Hake, I'm fine. I'm chill. Unless you already got the air conditioning going, that must be why I'm feeling so fresh. I got Frederick, Los Angeles. You're on the air, sir. Appreciate your call.
How's it going, Nick? Good afternoon.
Thank you, Frederick. I'm doing well. No complaints.
All right. I had a inkling about this. Have you heard about the ambush of the 9 Israeli soldiers?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, the caller called earlier. They were saying that the war over there wasn't going as good as they saying it is or whatever.
Like on the Israeli side?
Yeah.
Okay, and no, I haven't heard about this at all. 9 Israeli soldiers killed in Gaza City. Ambush?
Yeah, it was ambushed. But they started, like, when the war first started pushing, they was compressing media about the Israeli soldiers being scared. So then they started pushing.
You said compressing? I didn't hear that word. They were compressing the media to say that the Israeli soldiers were scared?
Yeah, that they wasn't really feeling the war. Some of them was not with the war and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And the coverages that we're getting from certain news sources portray it as is going one way when actuality it's not.
Okay. I mean, I've seen stuff on both sides. But I think to your point though, I think that's fair. If you look at our media, it seems to be like it's just Israel. They got the north side of Gaza, then the south side, and they're just in there cleaning up house. As difficult, I heard that it would be difficult, but I haven't heard anything since, implying that it's been fine, hunky dory since then.
No, they're still calling for a ceasefire, and they thought that they were gonna not need this long of a firing to clear out Gaza, since there's such a big force like Israel. It's almost embarrassing as if Russia's going into Ukraine and prolonging it for reasons. Like, I don't understand. It's starting to look political.
You know,
and if we're telling them to cease fire and they're refusing to cease fire, why would we give them money?
Well, I want to respond to a few things. Ceasefire. We're telling them to cease fire?
Yeah, Biden and
Oh, I think I have heard about that.
They want Israel to be like, slow your roll, but
I like what Vivek said. I like what Vivek said at the Geo4th debate, and he said, you know what? He wants to see Israel be able to fend for themselves. You know, he's talking about all the aid that goes to Israel. He says he wants to see an Israel one day where they'll be able to just handle their own stuff.
Yeah.
So that was
the
interesting.
difference between Israel and Ukraine is Israel's NATO, and we've been supporting Israel's United States baby. So, I mean, giving money to a non-NATO country is not in our interest. I understand why a lot of people like, forget about Ukraine. We only supposed to be protecting NATO. But then again, with this ally of ours that is going rogue, we can't support the rogueness, or we're going to look like war criminals too.
Well,
but
I don't know.
That's what I call. That was my question. The victim, the victim mentality. Do you see it? How it grows?
Absolutely, and we've seen that in Congress. They want to ban anti-Semitism and all that. And I want to get into all that. You're saying rogue state Israel. Now, I don't know. I've heard that too, but I just don't know what that even means. But to me, if our interest is okay, we don't want nuclear war, and they do, then that's a rogue, I guess. But here's the thing. And NATO has
definitely a rogue.
NATO, that's like an old alliance too, and that, I mean, I've heard some interesting questions about NATO itself. Trump had questions about NATO. But anyways, I want to ask you about the 9 Israeli soldiers. Say what you said again, please.
I said he made them pay up their fair share, NATO.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's totally in our best interest. I'm sure someone, a smart individual could maybe figure that one out. NATO doesn't seem like it's all, daisies for America, from what I could tell. But on the 9 Israeli soldiers,
it's pretty cool.
Okay,
I think it's good. We have American bases all over. I mean, yeah,
right on.
Ain't no telling what other countries would do with them once they put their mind together and start plotting.
Right on. As long as we can make NATO work for us, I agree. So 9 Israeli soldiers killed in Gaza. I mean, I guess that means to you that it's not as one-sided as the media might say?
It's a proxy war. Yeah, they talking about flooding these tunnels, and the people who built these tunnels. Look up the people that come in Palestine and buy the houses. They buy everything from the house all the way underneath, and they start building tunnels. The Jews that buy land in Palestine. These tunnels have been ran like concurrently, and they're still being dug. I'm watching documentaries on Jews digging these tunnels. Every house they buy in Palestine, they go underneath. Yeah, it's not the square footage on ground. It's the square footage underneath that they building into their old land back home. It's crazy. They redoing it all together where they can't come back. They're not going to be able to come back.
That sounds interesting. Frederick, I wanted to ask you about this 9 Israeli soldiers. Doesn't this mean that Israel shouldn't do a ceasefire then?
No.
I'm just reacting, right? I'm just like reacting to this bit of news, I guess. And you're telling me Biden, and I think I remember that. Yeah, they're asking Israel for a ceasefire and all that. But isn't this a point against that? It's like,
no. What about the hostages?
What about them? Which hostages?
Just keep on blowing them up. Yeah, they ain't released all the hostages. There was over 200 they've been releasing.
Are you talking about Hamas, or are you talking about
the Israeli hostages that Hamas
has? And what about them?
Yeah. So just if you don't know where they at, you're gonna keep bombing. No ceasefire.
Oh yeah. Are you saying? Well, that's Israel's problem. No, I'm sure they wouldn't want to bomb their own. So I guess that's their problem to figure out.
That's why we're like in talks. We're like, come on, let's ceasefire until we find the hostages. They're like, no, we want one state, and they're provoking. It's clear what they're doing. Yeah, they're going for the one state. Is Bill in the studio? Put Bill on the phone. Bill know what's going on.
Why? Why do you want to ask Bill?
I hear him back there. Yeah,
he's not here in the studio. But anyways.
All right.
But anyways, I mean, don't you think?
I like Bill.
Me too.
But yeah.
Anyways, what point did you want to make? Is there a point you wanted to make about all this?
I just don't want you to be like falling into the victimhood of we're under attack. If white men.
But 9 Israeli soldiers died.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what they should do. Please go ahead.
No. They trying to play victim as in like, okay, we're the chosen people. Religion. This is bigger than religion right now. We're about to go into World War III.
But I don't need to get into all that to answer this question. 9 Israeli soldiers were killed in the news that you're telling me, and they want them to do a ceasefire. Like, obviously, you asked me personally, do you want to see civilians dead and all that? It's like, no, but you're asking me to like have this expert take on something I'm not even have full mastery over. But you show me this one news report, 9 Israeli soldiers dead. It sounds like you shouldn't do a ceasefire. It sounds like you got enemies to deal with. Am I being too ignorant here? Am I being too?
It's just the propaganda of the media. They want you to hear 9 died, and they done killed over 2,000 Hamas. But they want you to be, oh, poor 9 Jews. Kill them like you are right now. 9 dead. That's too much. Blow them up. No, just because they putting the news in your face to make you feel you can't get caught up in it. It's like, I don't know how to explain it.
I see the point you're making now.
You're saying what they want you to say, but I don't see, you're not seeing why are you saying what they want you to say.
I see the point you're making now, but I don't know if it's totally in reality. You may not be totally wrong here in some sentiments here, but to look at that news report and say 9 Israeli soldiers died, they're just trying to trick me into caring. It seems like you're too invested in the whole thing. That's my impression. No. What do you think about that? Because you're seeing the news here, 9 Israeli dead, and your reaction is, well, look at these Jews just trying to pretend like they're the ones who are getting, and they're killing, blah, blah. It sounds like you might be a little too invested. Is that a wrong impression?
That's very wrong impression.
Okay.
Very wrong impression. Because our government going to shut down whether we send them money. Which do you decide? Send them money or not?
To Israel?
Yeah.
I don't know. We're sending money everywhere. No more money to anybody.
Hey, yeah. That's what's going to make our government shut down.
You think so?
Hey.
I'm going to be ignorant on this. Why would that shut our government down?
I hope so. We'll see.
Right on.
You have a good day.
Well, thank you, Frederick. And pull up, man. Pull up with love.
I will.
I was wrong about that. I didn't know you meant pull up with love.
Yep, for sure.
Man, I apologize.
Not a problem, man.
Frederick, right, call me again, sir.
Yes, sir. All right, later.
Right on. I mean, was it interesting? Sure, there may be interesting things there, but what was the point? I guess it's about foreign aid and stuff. The point Frederick's trying to make too. Anyways, appreciate your call. Call me 888-775-3773. If you're international, you can call me 1-888-775-3773. Try Skype, WhatsApp. I hear those work. Michelle Wu, what were we doing before we took Frederick's call? And I see your calls coming in. Appreciate it. I will get to you. What were we doing? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. We'll get into the based Poland. But you know what? Let me just rock and roll these calls. I got Justin Fullerton. Thank you for your call, Justin. You're on the air.
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
No problem,
Yeah,
Justin.
if I was close by, I would pull up with some Little Caesars. I hope Frederick would do the same. Anywho,
Right on. That's a real Christmas miracle.
Hey, yeah, that's right. Hey, so on some good news, I'm not sure if you ever heard about it. I just came across the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. So they're going, since a while now, a couple months ago, back in September, they've been going hard on reducing our taxation without us approving it, essentially. Have you heard of this?
No, I haven't.
Anywho, so Newsom's trying to block it by lawsuit. Again, he's tied in with Nancy Pelosi. He's the nephew, that's his aunt, and they're very wealthy. So I wouldn't hold it against them for doing that because they don't want to get us to vote and approve by 2/3 of the legislation and then an overwhelming majority of the taxpayers. So, but yeah,
and what will the reforms do?
Okay, so making it simple, the crying out is do not tax more until we approve it, we the people.
Gotcha.
And so it has to now be on the when you vote. Okay, so voter approval has to be done first by an overwhelming majority, and then 2/3 of the legislation. The legislators have to vote it to become enacted instead of not putting it on the ballot, on the measures on the ballot at all, to reveal anything. They're just saying, well, fine, you're not going to be transparent. We're going to halt everything. So in a sense, essentially what I got out of this, it was from the Epoch Times, basically. And I know you're talking about Boston. California is where I live, so I kind of think more about here. And Frederick was talking about Palestinians. That's great, but I live in America, so I would love to have us go back to 3%. 3% is right where the breaking point was with the empire here in the United States. If you remember the Boston Tea Party, it just took 3%, and it was too much. And now, how much do you pay for taxes? Everybody pays, I think at least 25%. I don't know.
Double digits.
But if
rolling in their graves.
If we're getting the services, I wouldn't bat an eye at that. Because we'd be living like, say, Dubai or Saudi Arabia. Everyone's wealthy. We don't have that. So.
Dang, and so Newsom is using the law to stop this. Hey, Justin?
Yes.
So Newsom's using the law. He's using he's like a lawsuit to stop this? Stop the will of the people, essentially?
Yes.
And so what's the legal basis here? What's the crime or the
It's not like there's a law that's broken. It's to say that there should be a law. This measure is to make it so that California could become sane again with its, returning to seek out approval by the people first before, because our cost of living, is incredibly high, and no one's pissed off about it. So the American way is to be taxed less, not more, and to hold our government accountable. So finally, this group, the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, they're behind, what the Epoch Times is reporting, and they're seeking just to get sanity back to California politics as it relates, especially to taxation. Representation hasn't been a clear thing, so maybe just tighten their belt and cut off their resources. I think that should be a big move in local governments. Communism's not the way. It should be the less taxes and more communal, helping one another when you need it, not raising taxes, because all these people are going to do is, in the government, be like leeches and bleed us dry.
Man, it's interesting that you bring this up because I just get this image of these obscene, just wealthy, like Newsom and Pelosi. And meanwhile, they're in their isolated areas while the rest of the state is in disarray. And yeah, there are wealthy people in the state, very wealthy people. A lot of money moves through California. But they're fine. Their lives are fine. And it's just to see obscenely wealthy people, from what I could tell, bring out every stop to stop the will of the people here is just dystopian. But on top of that, you bring up the Tea Party and 3% being just too much for the people. And it just makes me think about today. You bring up taxes like this, I bet you anything, there are Californians who see this push to lower taxes. They'll see that and think, what do you hate? You hate homeless people and programs? These people need programs. And you know what I'm saying? Like, we need these. We need the high taxes. They'll fight. Your own neighbor will fight you on the high taxes, I think, now.
No, I think that the people that pay the taxes just want to get a return on their investment. And so they're going to be looking at it in a capitalistic point of view, not so much communistic. And they're going to say straight out, you're homeless, you can work, and if you do, you'll be paying taxes too. So everyone needs to work. Russia has everyone working. A lot of countries, other than the United States, has everyone working, and they do it because they mandate it. Unless you're really
like you're forced to work?
Disabled. Yeah, unless you're disabled,
no
you
way.
work.
So there's countries that force people to work?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm saying it because it's not just one country. It's Russia, it's Finland. There's countries that are socialistic, they call it, and they're doing great. Yeah, but in a small country where everyone's working, they pay taxes, extremely high amounts, but everyone's taken care of. And it's usually homogeny. It's not a conglomerate of a whole bunch of different groups that aren't even proud to be here, And homelessness and immigration is one and the same. People that are displaced. People that are displaced, and there's a rhyme and there's a reason for it. And the orchestra is making a symphony of a dystopian view, but it's not in reality, because in reality, we're not supposed to think about Palestine, and everyone's supposed to be thinking about their own countries. First off, number one, America first, as it relates to their communities. People should not regulate menthol cigarettes. They should not regulate, say, flavors, but they do that in California.
Right.
And they do it because they're trying to somehow help the minority.
Right. They say it to the kids, too. They're helping the kids, but I had a different experience with people who smoke menthols. I feel like it's all the lifers and the old grodies who still smoke menthols. I don't know if you've noticed that, but growing up and working in the kitchens and working in other places, it's always the lifers, the people who just stay smoking their whole lives, and they're old servers or old cooks just still smoking, but they rock the menthols. They were the ones who were most angry when I remember when the menthol ban came around in Canada. It was the lifers who were mad about them. They're like, grimy to death. You know what I mean? Grimy till the end.
Yeah, but it's not like it's going to lead a Boston Tea Party. They were pissed off about their tea.
Right.
And I don't know what it's going to be, but something has to be pissed. Housing is crazy. Do you think housing is going up for just the renters? It's going up for the landlords. It's going up for the wealthy. And these are the noble class that we're talking. The classism, the communism that creates classism, like kind of like the proletariat against the bourgeoisie, the bougie people. The bougie people are Newsom. They're straight out the people that are the winners of this whole conglomerate of disarray, where they can profit and create an order out of chaos.
Interesting, man. Also fascinating that there are countries who force people to work. That might be slavery to some, but that's pretty awesome, I think. I wonder if those countries... Say again about slavery?
Slavery is something that's still institutionalized in a lot of countries, and companies to this day profit off of it. Our shoes.
Well, I'm not saying like slavery, but some might call forced to work a law in your country that forces you to work slavery, and I don't quite agree. I think that's kind of based. I wonder if those countries...
To be unemployed and homeless, or to be a slave and to be housed?
I think unemployed and homeless. No, but if you're unemployed and homeless, you're free. Can I play devil's avocado here? What do you think about that? But at least I'm free as a homeless and drug addicted person. At least I'm free. What do you say about that?
Yeah, there's enablers out there, and our government shouldn't be one of them, and our tax money shouldn't be going for that. It should.
But do you see me as free for choosing homelessness and drugs over?
No. No, I see you hurting in a society that's only going to eat you up, and you're going to eat it. You're going to eat a society up as well. So to protect the society, number one, that's what we do. Number two, to protect you from your own. Otherwise, you have to add to that.
And to add to that, people aren't free when they're in their mess. People who are homeless and drug addicted, they're not there out of their own choice either. It's the weirdest paradox about the whole thing and the immorality of man. They're there. you could say out of, some semblance of choices, but ultimately their choices were influenced by their morality. And so they stay stuck in there. And so those people out there aren't free.
Yeah. They are a creation of their choices. And aren't we all? I mean, our choices can set us free. The truth can set us free. And if we adhere to the truth and live in the truth and abide in the truth. But if we don't, then what are we living in? A lie. And Satan's the author and the perfecter of all lies that exist. So it is said in the Bible that if you are to eat, you are to work. And that's how it's got to be. It's in places like Mexico, across the aisle, not too far away. And when you hold to morals and values, like whether it's Catholicism or Protestantism or even Judaism, if you're holding to those morals and those values, you're going to be working and you're going to be eating. You're going to be taking care of your family or yourself and knowing that your tax money is helping others as well. Or you live without the society on your own and you take care of yourself. Only yourself then. And you're not a burden on society.
Right on, Justin. Interesting talk there. Anything last thing you want to say before we move the wheels?
Well, Trump 2024 and be good to one another.
We steal. Right on. Thank you, Justin. Merry Christmas.
Thank you for having me. All right, bye.
And we steal. And we steal. And we still rolling with Trump. Steal. Amazing stuff. You guys have super chatted my show. Thank you for that. Let me read some of these super chats. Carver, 531. Oh, dang. Oh, boy. Oh, boy, Carver. That was you? Carver, thank you for that. I did receive the package. I received the gift. I will show the people tomorrow. That shirt rocks, man. Thank you, Carver, for the super chat and the very generous gift you sent me, the anchor baby. Lin Yen Chin with the super chat says, Merry Christmas, meaning may you enter pursuit of ever-increasing inner stillness, and it grant continuous rise in sapience or wisdom, which exists to optimize your orientation in every experience. Deep. Thank you, Lin Yen Chin. I completely understood that, and I appreciate that. I got my supporters over on rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. Monthly supporters even. You guys rock. Thank you. Who is who to force this is not liberty. Fair enough, DJ 2020. Thy will be done. Incredible. DJ 2020, thank you. What's up, Lily Pooh? Old Saucy, Ohio Sentinel. Thank you. And I got supporters on DLive.tv/Gorgonzola. Diamonds and ice creams for the anchor, baby. Thank you. And I see your calls coming in. 888-775-3773. I'm about to get to calls, but I got to show you this, okay? Let me do this quick, and then we'll rock calls. I see you guys holding. Thank you for the patience. We got to do this, though. Based Poland, far-right Polish MP, member of parliament, extinguishes Hanukkah candles in parliament. Have you seen or heard about this? This based beyond belief. Based far-right member of parliament. How do you say that? Grzegorz Braun. I'm saying it like an American anchor baby. How about that? Grzegorz Braun. I'm trying to find a pronunciation. Oh, look at that. We have a pronunciation. Oh, unmute that.
Grzegorz Braun.
Grzegorz Braun. Okay, that's British pronunciation. We're going to need an American pronunciation.
Grzegorz Braun.
Grzegorz Braun. You got to love it. Why do the British say it differently?
Grzegorz Braun.
How do the Polish say it? I'm going American with this one. Grzegorz Braun. Okay. Grzegorz Braun. A far-right, they're saying, The Guardian is saying, is a far-right member of parliament who did the unthinkable. He did something horrible. During a Hanukkah celebration at their parliament, this was the scene. Let's watch. Polish far-right MP. Oh, wait, it just stopped. Hold on. Some nice clarinet music, I think.
Panie pośle, co pan robi? Panie pośle, co pan robi?
Taniec! Taniec! That's so funny. What? There's a fire in the parliament. What do you want me to do? There's a fire. You guys can't have an open fire in the parliament? What the? Is what I thought. That's what I thought was his like excuse. That's what I thought his reasoning. I thought for some reason I thought that was the story. Grzegorz Braun. He sees the Hanukkah, what do they call it? Mandelbrot? No, I think that's a mathematical term. Mandelbrot? Hanukkah candle thing. The menorah. Not Mandelbrot. Mandelbrot. The menorah, the 7-branched candelabrum that is described in the Jewish Hebrew Bible. Okay. They had this on display during a Hanukkah celebration. And I thought the MP saw it and said, whoa, we can't have fire here. This is dangerous, folks. Okay, this is dangerous, and this is a safety issue. I'm gonna need to extinguish the fire. Rules is rules. Sorry. Hey, them's the rules. Okay, don't get mad at me. Turns out that's not at all what he was thinking. Okay. He did not hold back. The MP says those who take part in acts of satanic worship should be ashamed. Braun was thrown out of Parliament for his actions and barred from sitting at Tuesday's session. Speaker, I'm going to guess this is pronounced Simone Holonia, said Braun would be fined half his salary for 3 months, the largest fine allowed, and would be investigated by prosecutors. Wow. So I guess there was a crime involved here. I guess he committed a crime here. There will be no tolerance for racism, xenophobia, anti-Semitism as long as I am the Speaker of Parliament, Holonia told reporters, according to Reuters. This is the Speaker of the House over there in their parliament in Poland. This is unacceptable. This must never happen again, he said. Never again. It can never happen again. Never again. This is a disgrace. And so that's the story here. You know, I thought it was just following the rules. Hey, you can't have fire here. Sorry, this is a safety precaution. Holonia, the Speaker of the House over in this country, says Poland is home to all religions, he says. Hey, you know what? If you ask me, you know, just reacting to that video and reacting to the story here a little bit, if you ask me, to me, he's being silly. Now, like, I'd like to see some of this division in our own Congress. We're seeing some of that already in our own Congress. Division, you know, more division, yeah. Divide the evil Congress. Keep them divided. Because it just works out better for us, the people, when the evildoers are divided the way they are. I mean, what are they even doing in Congress? What are they fixing? What's even happening? They got rid of Kevin McCarthy. Mike Johnson is the speaker. And what's really going on here? They're trying to impeach Biden. And it's like, sure, I get it, but it seems like a pony show. To me, that's just how it seems like. So as much as I'd like to see some of that division in our own Congress, it seems a little silly to me. Oh, fire extinguisher, and that's just my thing. This is my opinion. Seems a little silly, like what are you fighting? What are you going to fix kind of thing. That's just my first reaction, okay? But my thing about this story is, why is it that Christian and Western countries, when something like this happens, when something that you can call racist, you can call anti-Semitic, that you can call all these isms, the response is always, oh, it can never happen again. We're a home to all religions. Why does that have to be the response? Why can't you just be like, okay, you know what? We're not with what you're about. Or I don't know. Why is it that you got to go all the way the other way and basically say, we accept all people? You basically have to go prostrate You bend over prostrate and say, we're not racist. We accept all people. We have no national identity because we accept all people. Christian roots? No, stop it with that. Stop it with the noticing. What do you mean Christian roots? Forget that. We are home to all religions. Like, I think it's a little silly what he's doing. I mean, I don't quite totally understand it, but why is that the response? You know what I mean? Why is that the go-to of the Christian Western countries? Fear of words, I think. Fear of words. I had a caller yesterday, Dawning Armor, and I will get to calls here just in a moment. I'm almost done. Dawning Armor called my show, and we were talking about words. He didn't like that the Jews made up words like anti-Semitism and racism. I don't know if they made those words. I can't confirm that. I know about the Frankfurt School and stuff like that, but I can't confirm every little thing you guys tell me. But at the same time, I just can't get past, well, who made white people believe those words? You know what I mean? Nobody told white people to believe in anti-Semitism and racism. Words. Virtually every congressional resolution about the surge of anti-Semitism allegedly gripping the country relies on the same junk stats from the Anti-Defamation League, whose definition of anti-Semitic incidents includes anti-Israel rallies. The whole narrative is predicated on irrational data. That's a tweet or a post from Michael Tracy. I think he was a guest on the JLP show. I mean, I get a lot of value out of his account, a well-spoken individual. But he's making this interesting point here. If you don't know, our own Congress, we're not talking about Poland, they put forth resolutions about anti-Semitism, making claims that it's surging, it's gripping the country, Michael Tracy says. But guess where they're getting all their data from? It's that good old ADL. The resolution the House just passed also references a survey by ADL and Hillel International. The survey defines anti-Semitic incident as someone made a problematic comment about Israel, and you saw a problematic post about Israel. I mean, what you're seeing here, you got to conclude that people using these words don't mean to use them the way they sound. Anti-Semitism means hate. Well, no, these people are adding to the definition and basically passing resolutions condemning the speech of American individuals, like Michael Tracy says, demanding their firing. And the whole basis of this, the empirical basis, the statistical basis for this condemnation of our highest political and legal institutions is data from this hateful ADL, and it's fraudulent data on top of that. So a bunch of liars, and all but one Republican voted for it. Massey plus 84 Democrats. Amazing stuff here. Who made white people? Who made Christians afraid of words? Who did that to them? Who did that? Who made Christians and the West afraid of words, afraid of the red, white, and blue, afraid of being a patriot? Just things I'm wondering. I think that happens within. You know what I'm saying? Fear of words, anti-Semitism, it's just another word. And that fear is coming from within. I got calls. Let's walk these calls, okay? I got Matus, I believe. Matus, first-time caller, Ontario, California. Man, thank you for your call. You're on the air.
Hello, Mr. Anchor, baby. How you doing,
Oh,
sir?
no way.
Matus.
This is Matus.
You know who it is? The guy you know who I am. I come in every once in a while.
Yes, sir. It's a pleasure. Thank you for calling my show.
I just wanted to tell you, I just caught one end of it. You guys were talking about, the homeless and the drug addicts. I've been there. And the further I get from my last usage, the further I realize I never had a drug problem. And it was a spiritual thing, like Jesse always says, like what you guys talk about. And not all, but most of them suffer from that. Some people just are crazy. And, you know, I've been in and out of jail, in and out of homelessness, but I ain't never talked to a light pole. Just, you know, but you know, I just
deep, man.
There's avoidance sometimes, and sometimes I guess hurting ourselves is the only way we know how to deal with it. It's crazy, and we need people like you and Jesse and your crew to show people there's another way sometimes, man. I just want to appreciate it, and I got a chimney, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Matus. I appreciate you calling my show for the first time. That's super deep. Never had one. Never had a drug problem. That's awesome. Anything else you want to say about that before we move the wheels?
No, it's just, you know, it just, when you're in your addiction and when you're just getting off of it, it's hard to realize how easy it is. It's one of the easiest things I've ever done. I had anger, like, you know, I don't understand where he got it from, but when you have anger towards your parents, especially your mama, it's crazy how blind you will walk and continue walking. And sometimes some people never correct it. And it's not cool, man. But that's life, right? That's the world we live in. Yeah, I got to go in and sign my paperwork. I love you guys.
No problem, dude.
Thank you for helping us out, brother.
Merry Christmas, man. I'm learning as well. Appreciate it. Call me again.
Yep.
Yeah, Matus is on it, and if I can add to it, it's like he's talking about anger. You've heard this before. You watched Jesse. But it's the truth. Man, I was talking to this one guy, and he was telling me the truth. Shout out the Friday show. But it's the truth, man. And here's the thing that happens, too. Hating your mama, like Matus said, what happens is you do that young, right? You do that as a kid. And what happens when you hate your parents, you hate your mother, you get into the sensual aspect of the ego and your life and the emotions. You get into this sensuality, which is activated by the initial feelings of that anger that you first got into. And so that sensuality and feelings becomes a norm for you. You grow up like that. It becomes a norm. And this sensual thing you get used to is it's a back and forth thing. It's a push and pull thing. You fight against it and it brings you back to it. And if I can give you a great example, you know, the Hake Report, in fact, said an amazing example the other day. He was talking about being a host of the show. He just kind of said this. He just said, is this a side? I don't know. He just kind of threw this out there, but it was really deep. About doing this show, for example. Let's say you freak out about having a bad show, whatever that is. And you tell yourself, I can't have a bad show because having a bad show gave you bad feelings. You see what I'm saying here? That's the sensual part. And so I have a bad show and I think to myself, I have a bad show, and that brings the bad feelings. And so I have these bad feelings that I want to avoid. I don't ever want to feel like that again. And so that means I got to work extra hard to have a good show tomorrow. Instead of realizing that it was the bad feelings that you were supposed to overcome. Because it's the bad feelings, that sensual bad feelings, that makes you want to have the good feelings. And you keep doing this back and forth tug. That same relationship is the relationship people have with drugs, that they have with anger, that we have with women, with a lot of stuff. And it comes from that sensual core that you learned when you were a kid, that you learned by hating. So thank you, Matus, for your call, man. I appreciate that. And the only way out is like going against that. Instead of freaking out and being like, I need to have a good show, you'd be like, wow, I need to stop going into these feelings about a bad show and tripping out about having defects and tripping out about seeing flaws within yourself and other things like that. It's that relationship that keeps you in the hell. It's just the perception of it. 100%, Frederick, Ivana. Deep. But that's not me. Watch the Hake Report for that. TheHakeReport.com, 9 a.m. Pacific time. That's the deep guy. He's the one who made that point. Anyways, we got calls. Amazing calls. And I got Steve, Ohio. Appreciate your call, Steve. You're on the air.
Nick, I appreciate you, man. How's it going?
All is well, Steve. Rocking and rolling. No complaints.
Hey, that rant right there was deep.
Hey, right on.
Deep. Hey, I just want to say, man, you guys been on fire all week, and I've been kind of sinking in my thoughts, but your past couple shows, you guys kind of helped. You know, actually a couple things just kind of broke through for me, and you know when you get too deep in them thoughts, and they just you can't shake them sometimes, you know.
And why do you say that?
No,
because I know
like
what you mean.
said,
I totally relate. I'm not holier than thou, but can you describe that a little bit?
It's a tar baby. You keep touching it, and it keeps trying to pull you back.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
No. So my thing I did want to call about before I get to that Polak was totally based, blowing out that menorah with the.
Why do you say that?
Well, I don't know if you're allowed to say Polak anymore, but I mean, I thought it was pretty based, in my opinion, to extinguish that fire because it wasn't safe.
Mm-hmm. No, it's just not safe. It's just not safe. I'm sorry. If you ask me, that's just not safe.
That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, he was looking out for the safety of everybody in that building, and that Patriot should get a Bronze Star or something. Purple Heart.
Oh, man. That's funny.
So my point, I wanted to talk about work. You guys were talking about that a little earlier.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have issues working right now because there's a middleman, if you feel what I'm saying.
No. What's a middleman?
So we work for a corporation who benefits off of us, and then they reap that benefit when I believe we were created to live off the land, and there should be no middleman between us working and reaping God's benefits.
Oh, so, I've never heard this. Are you saying being employed, having a boss, the boss is the middleman you're talking about?
The boss is the middleman.
And there should be no boss, no middleman between us and, sustaining ourselves, living off the land, etc.?
That's just what I've been coming to over time is we need to just cut out the middleman because does it really help working for I mean, in your situation, yes. I think that working for Jesse is probably the best job. But for other guys out here, we're building stuff, and but we really don't get to enjoy it. It's not like we're building our own house on our own land.
But did you get a job to build your own house on your own land?
I did. I started doing building maintenance so I can learn the trades of plumbing and carpentry. So down the road...
Right, but that's not what you do at the job. You learn those things, and then you can go and build it your own.
No, you're right. Totally right.
And it's I want to understand this. I've never heard this before. This is interesting. But so what would it look like? I guess show me in America. So let's say you're king of America.
All right.
What would that look like? I guess I'm trying to understand.
All right, king of America. I would make all taxes voluntary because you want to do better for your community. You would get your own land based off the land patent number and not just a lease of acreage. And you could be left alone and you survive. Like you do what you got to do to survive, and then if you need a little help from the government, that's why you're paying taxes. And if you had a bad harvest that year, they kick you some MREs to get you through the season until the next harvest come around.
That's interesting.
There's holes in it.
You know what, Steve? From what you've just said, it sounds to me like you seem like you might be a pretty decent individual, and those are kind of decent, in my opinion, some decent conclusions. If everyone was like you, I don't know what it would look like, but I don't know if I would disagree. But I don't think everyone is decent like that. It sounds like it might be chaos.
I know.
Down with middlemen. No, I'm joking. That's genocidal language.
No. No, I know people just aren't quite ready, but I mean, I don't even think I'm ready, dude. I'm a millennial. I'm stuck to these cell phones, and I need some work too, brother.
Can I ask you something on this?
Yes, sir.
In terms of being employed, so do you see that as like a negative there's something intrinsically, I don't know, negative, or there's some thievery going on? Do you see something like that between the employer-employee relationship in America?
I see it as somebody else is basing the value of my work and my time based on their viewpoint. So I have no say in how much my time is valued at, and I see that as a crime against humanity.
But aren't you allowed to just leave? Aren't you allowed to work anywhere you want?
You are, but I mean, you do got a point. You could just drop the job and leave, but you're still just chasing more money normally if you leave a job.
Right.
Or,
so then you go off and build your own thing.
But at that same rate, they just valued that next job a little higher, so you have something else to chase. When they could just get off your back, give you some land, and just let you build. And if you messed up, all right, go meet your maker early. And I don't know.
I see what you're saying. It sounds a little bit. I guess I'm averse because I don't know if it's conditioning, but it sounds to me like it's some of that like basic universal income stuff. And you're saying what you deserve. But I don't know if everyone deserves land and deserves, you know what I mean? They're not I'm not a custodian of this earth in America. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I know. The only way my plan would work is if everybody put God first.
Yeah.
That's the only way it would work.
I think that would at least be closer to that.
I know. And trust me, I need some help too. So if you come up with some ideas, man, I'd love to hear them.
Fascinating, Steve. I will. As for now, though, I know it's unsolicited. I'll leave it at go work, get a job. Generally, not just you, to all people. And shout out, get a job, of course.
That's right. Hey, God bless you guys, man. Appreciate you. Love you. Have a great holiday.
No, thank you, Steve, and call me again.
Merry Christmas, sir.
Merry Christmas, sir. Right on. I got mad calls coming in. You guys rock. 888-775-3773. I wanted to get into hypochondriacs. There's a little interesting report here on hypochondriacs. You might find it cute and interesting, especially for those who know how dark and evil the mind and thoughts are. But I have so many calls that I want to show them love. And I'm about to show Vasco some love here as soon as Sean, but I'm not hurrying, Sean. Do your thing, do what you got to do, and take the calls and be the call screener and put them on hold so that the anchor baby can get to the caller. No problem, take your time. I'm not killing time. And we got Vasco, Houston, Texas. You're on the air. Thank you for your call.
Hey, my man was just talking about how he's chasing the jobs and stuff, right? So what if you just sign on to the workforce, those employment agencies, you know?
Okay.
They send you to a job for a little while, and then, they find you another job.
Well, I don't think Steve...
You don't have to get an employment yourself.
I see what you're saying, right? For people who are looking for work. But the thing is, I don't think Steve was saying that he was having trouble finding work, but is that the relationship that he sees that just having an employer is already... There's something already wrong with that. That you should that it's already between you, because you know how God said you got to work. You got to work. God cursed man to toil the earth. Well, he's saying that the employer is the middleman between you and God. What do you think about that?
Oh, his name was Steve?
Yeah.
All right. I'm bad with names. I'm probably not going to remember that.
Do you think the employer is stealing from you?
Toil? Well, I mean, I personally don't think I want to, I don't deal well with stress, okay? And the job is stressful, and, some of these physical labor jobs, it's stressful, and then, if something goes wrong, then they blame it on you, and it's not your fault. So I can see how that is, that's my issue. That's why I brought up the whole workforce thing.
Do you get? You said you get stressed out when, for example, someone says something that you didn't do. That stresses you out.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I'm usually pretty good with having a job and just doing what I'm told. So.
But you said you experienced
what stresses me out is that I'm just that I just do what I'm told, and I don't have any thoughts, you know.
I think a lot of people can relate. Stress at the job, stress when being criticized, or stress when someone says something about you that's not real or true. But you gotta stay in reality. Okay, number one, that's not them stressing you out. That's your own stuff. That's only inside of you. If you notice, it's like you said. You just mentioned the thoughts. I can't think of a single time when in work or otherwise I've been stressed out, and I look back and I realize I did it to myself. Do you relate to that?
Well, what you were saying earlier was so deep about the whole sensuality thing and like drugs. That was so deep.
Thank you.
I kind of relate to that.
Man, it's the same thing with your job. The same thing about sensuality and drugs. Apply it to your job, okay? Because you get this negative feeling when someone says something about you, and then you try and fix it in your head, and you try and fix your reputation in your head, and sometimes even in the world, and that's a mistake. You got to realize that it's the negative feelings that you're trying to stop that's causing you to keep doing all that stuff. So you get what I'm saying a little bit.
Yeah, man, and I kind of losing my train of thought, but I love the show, man. I love the show. I'll call in next time.
Vasco, man, please appreciate your call, man. Call me again. Merry Christmas.
All right, bye.
I believe there's a delay between Vasco and I. We had the same delay I think he called yesterday. And there's a bit of a delay, so maybe we can work out his phone sometime. It's not too much of a delay, but that's what that was, if you were wondering. Amazing. Jessica, man. Oh, Jessica, thank you for the super chat. Says, you the best, in the Natural Libre voice. You the best. How does he say it? I forgot how he said it. Silly movie. Anchor Baby only knows bad movies. I'm trying to catch up on the good ones, okay? You guys made me watch Eyes Wide Shut. You're like, oh, they killed Kubrick for this one. I'm not saying it's not a fantastic, and I enjoyed that movie. An amazing Christmas movie. But they killed Kubrick for that one? You're telling me they killed Kubrick? Go watch it again, people who watched it 20 years ago. You're telling me they killed Kubrick for that one? Maybe I'm ignorant. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. I see your calls coming in. 888-775-3773. Let's rock the calls. Aaron, Vermont, thank you for your call. You're on the air.
Hello, Nicholas. How are you?
All is well.
Oh, great. I was calling because I was doing some research on the nonviolent people in prison for the drug wars.
Okay.
Not just the federal drug war, but the International Treaty on Narcotics is totaling $500 billion a year. And it was started in the House of Representatives over 100 years ago with laws against pharmaceutical cocaine and heroin from Bayer. Now,
can you say what the name of that was again? What's the name of that thing again? Narcotics what?
The International Treaty on Narcotics is the United States taxpayer overall is paying $500 billion a year to police the world of archaic laws passed by the McCain and Bush era. Remember that?
Wow.
Now these laws are sitting in place, sir, and the House of Representatives, where AOC and Jim Jordan work, need to be told that they can defund the Bush and McCain era federal drug laws that are keeping nonviolent people in prison and in the system. Nonviolent people in prison for drugs that can be defunded. Not the police, not the whatever. And these were all passed the first laws were passed in 1915, but it goes on to 1961, the International Treaty on Narcotics, the 1972 federal drug war, the 1974 DEA, the 86 mandatory minimum sentences, setting up the 94 crime bill, which is mostly concentrated in the light of coca arrest, nonviolent, 5 grams, 5 years in prison, felony conviction for life. This can all be defunded, in my opinion, through the House of Representatives, where it was started by a Skull and Bones member, according to the history guys on NPR, about 109 years ago in 1915, where they passed the first laws against pharmaceutical, Bayer from Germany, cocaine and heroin.
Fascinating.
Pharmaceutical was available to anybody until 1915.
I've seen that
stuff. The rest
stuff.
of these laws were slowly passed over, obviously, the Skull and Bones agenda And you're talking cannabinoid opiate receptors. You're talking the pineal gland. And you can look back at all the people. I looked up blacks, 1860 cocaine, and of course they mentioned it's an epidemic. Now, it depends on the content of the character who's administering and ingesting plant-based resonance and so on. But that's my point.
Super fascinating. I didn't know that. I didn't know anything about that. If I could ask you, please finish.
Yes,
my bad. Go ahead.
Well, that's it. It goes on like this. And listen, I really appreciate you guys so much. Once my research was finished, I really did choose you guys, Jesse, Ake, and you, St. Nicholas, because I thought you in particular, and yes, Ake, all of you all. And so it goes on like this. But the most important thing is the House of Representatives can defund all of these laws that are arresting and keeping nonviolent people in prison for plant-based resonance, and the mushrooms, the fungi, and the cactus. I guess that's the mescaline. These are all naturally occurring and go back a very long time, and there is a cannabinoid and opiate system, right, for openers. That's genetic, and it's either endogenous or exogenous, meaning it either was external manifestation through the McKenna stone date theory, or endogenous means endocannabinoid, the body's own making. Now, this isn't a vast conspiracy. Somebody very high up decided a long time ago and maybe initiated the Skull and Bones to start these drug laws against pharmaceuticals.
Why do they?
Cocaine and heroin.
Why do you think they did that?
Oh, well, it's obvious. The cannabinoid and opiate system was manipulated. I looked up a lot of this. Have you heard of the burning bush?
Before we move on from to the burning bush, I want to make a couple things clear. A lot was said, and I want to respond to some. You're talking about this international treaty of narcotics that was started in America,
but that's paid for by the United States
government. Paid for by the United States. If I just want to understand that part, are you saying that this treaty has basically mobilized America using taxpayer money to basically take the drug war globally?
Yes, sir. It would have been funded. It would have been drafted in the House of Representatives in 1961. It was signed by John Fitzgerald Kennedy in his first year in office. But then the Skull and Bones, obviously George Bush is alleged to have something to do. He doesn't know where he was in Dallas. Now that $20 trillion gross domestic product is in the hands of the Skull and Bones, not John Fitzgerald Kennedy. If the anons aren't correct, there might be something to.
It makes me think about. Like, for example, you're saying this international treaty, the 60s and all that. I imagine. I guess I imagine
another aspect.
But I imagine that they were trying to combat influx of drugs from like South America and stuff. I wonder if they were trying to combat that.
Fields in South America. There was terrible bombing throughout the 80s in Colombia. The man that they went after, that drug lord Pablo Escobar, in the 1880s, Mark Twain was writing novels, and Nietzsche was making all of those quotes. You have to appreciate that there were no drug laws, but pharmaceutical cocaine was there in the Civil War in 1860. Okay. You can look up blacks, cocaine, 1860, not just because, and that means that everyone had access to this. And then your heroin came in, and I looked up Atlantic magazines quoting a newspaper article from an article from a Sears and Roebuck catalog where heroin was so popular with women, pharmaceutical Bayer, that they could get it from Sears and Roebuck catalog, and that's the Ferris Bueller standing on the Sears Tower. For $1.50.
Wow.
Placing in an order in the Sears and Roebuck catalog.
That's incredible.
1915, the history guys are indicating on NPR that that's when a Skull and Bones member came in and drafted the first laws, prescriptions against heroin and cocaine. And that's when they started. And then it goes on like that. You've got marijuana, reefer madness, 1937 taxation. You've got the 1961 International Treaty on Narcotics. 72 drug war, federal in this country, 74 DEA, police to do this. This obviously they're going after people because of the if criminal psychology were to administer narcotics, quote unquote, obviously it's not good. But if a non-criminal psychology, and Jesse's right, it's good and evil, but it really comes down to content of character, like Martin Luther King said. Content of character is part of one's psychology. Psychology is part of one's philosophy. Okay. From there on, sir.
Well, I can't disagree with him saying content of character.
There's a disservice to nonviolent people that are getting caught up in some archaic drug laws since Trump has gotten rid of Bush and McCain and the rest. These laws are sitting there, and our House of Representatives has to be told that they can draft a law to bring this $500 billion catastrophe to an end. That's all.
And you don't think these people should be incarcerated? I wanted to ask you about the incarcerations. I mean, you're saying these people, these nonviolent offenders, shouldn't be incarcerated.
They should be released immediately, and some of them are
why do you say
drug
that?
tests tomorrow. Others are on parole, and it should all be disbanded, nonviolent, until these drug laws are, the drugs in question are fully investigated for why all of this was done in the first place. I'm not saying
Your
why.
reasoning is why, though. Your reasoning is because the whole legal framework.
People are sitting in federal all over the world. Some people are facing execution in Bali, Indonesia, for bringing in.
But if I may ask you my question, if I may ask you, Aaron, is your reasoning, is your conclusion because, well, their legal framework is all fraudulent and these people shouldn't be in there, or is it because you don't believe nonviolent people with drugs should be in jail, no matter what?
Right, all of that. I ever think that that Congress not only needs to.
And why do you say that
those,
though?
but then
just simply because they're nonviolent, they shouldn't be in jail. Why do you say just simply because they're nonviolent, they shouldn't be in jail
for drugs? And
you don't think anyone who's
that's what I say.
But you don't think that there is some even with or without laws saying it's illegal or not, that there seems to be an intrinsic.
Is anything related to the archaic Bush-McCain era drug laws that go all throughout 109 years since 1915?
I'm following that.
They all need to be reviewed. Those people need to be considered nonviolent victims of the system. And if you were on parole and facing a drug test, well, then we all belong in prison for cannabis, and we all belong in prison for what we do, especially alcohol, since that does more damage.
You know, I'm following on that point. I just wanted to make this, though. I wanted to ask you about...
I appreciate it, sir. I do.
No, thank you, Aaron.
I called you because I thought you were...
No, this is super fascinating. Thank you, Aaron. I want to ask you this, though.
The most understanding of all of them. Not just, you're
these other ones, they're not understanding like me. I'm joking.
I'm not. I noticed this. I noticed. Who has the dog? This
wait.
Is you, right?
Hassan has the dog.
Hassan has the dog, but I noticed that you and he are because they bust on you a little bit for this net, but you're the anchor baby.
Yes, sir.
Because I listen most of the time.
Thank you.
But I listen a lot since I heard you guys. Somebody posted Jesse on POL, and
but Aaron, on drugs though, on the drugs, I want to ask you about this though. Are you saying that drug dealers shouldn't be in jail?
I don't know. We wouldn't be drug dealers because, like I said, these people, you can look this up, Victorian England. But what I wanted to say, this goes back so far that an Israeli rabbi said that Moses in the burning bush is DMT. There are 18 people covered this from Reuters to Vice. Okay, and this is how it goes on. These go back a very long time.
Okay, hold on.
You have a cannabinoid and opiate system that is either endogenous, which means the body's own making manifested these systems, endocannabinoid, or it's exogenous. That means that McKenna's theory through epochs and generations of exposure somehow manifested your cannabinoid and opiate system, which is withering undefined generationally.
But don't we also have don't we also have biological functions that, for example, like if we ingest something that kills us, like, for example, what's that? Ricin. Ricin connects to certain liver receptors. Just because we have those receptors doesn't mean that's a good thing. Just because we have cannabinoid receptors doesn't mean that we're supposed to be going out in nature and finding cannabinoids willy-nilly to connect them with.
This is interesting, but there's
the same way we have, what is it? The Y... I forget the number, but the Y something receptor in our liver connects with like a certain poison. Does that mean we should be going out finding poison to connect those receptors with?
There's no, these have you ever heard of treatments, glaucoma to Rett syndrome are being treated with cannabinoid, but an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, unless these things are noted as the opposite of plant-based resinous, blood-enriching, cellular insulating nutrients, antioxidant, anti-aging. I read all this in a reference book called Buzzed. It's 1,000 pages, every bit of information you could want to know, and they weren't advocates.
You sound a little bit like an old school psychonaut.
All I'm saying,
you know what that is?
The drug laws for nonviolent people. These people are, in my opinion, are completely innocent around the world. These laws were instilled by a very evil organization out of Yale. And I only went back and was able to say, oh, my God, the first law from the drug laws was passed by a Skull and Bones member in 1915. And the last laws were Joe Biden, the president of the United States. He and Giuliani drafted the crime bill in 1994, which specifically to go after
Aaron. Can you hear me, Aaron?
Yes, sir.
I totally got you on that point. The drug war, the international treaty, very interesting stuff. Definitely going to look into it myself. I got one final thing I want to ask you about, though. You sound like one of those old school psychonauts. You know what a psychonaut is? Like you mentioned Terence McKenna, for example. And I don't want to put out your personal info, so if you don't want to answer this, that's fine. But are you someone with a lot of experience with mushrooms, mescaline, and stuff like that?
No, see, I haven't touched LSD since 1995. I've been working with a cannabinoid when I first realized that this is about neuroplasticity, the brain. Blood chemistry is brain chemistry. And what gets into the blood, and did you know that memory is a fusion of neurons discovered by Dr. Konorski in 1961. What's in the blood? The neurons fuse together through your sensory, your observation, and it fuses. What's in the blood becomes whatever. So if there's cannabinoid and opiate molecules, whatever it is, okay, that's just first and foremost about that. But then there's these antioxidant treatments with cannabinoid up and down the line. Okay, and yet they're being recognized as treatments, but an ounce of prevention or treatment's worth a pound of cure. So it goes on like that. And I have plenty of whatever. It's about neuroplasticity and the retrieval of what McKenna is defining as a stoned ape. So
the stoned ape, yeah, McKenna. I went to an Alan Watts.
I know, it gets a little complicated.
I went to an Alan Watts presentation. Was it Alan Watts? Who was it? I went to like an Alan Watts thing in Toronto back in the day. When did he die? No, it wasn't Alan Watts. I'm thinking of someone else. But but hey, what do you think about one last thing? I know what you're saying here about the fraudulent incarcerations and stuff, and I'm sure there's plenty of people who shouldn't be there. But I bet you a lot of those people should be there.
They were written pre-Trump, and the new Congress can defund it. And they can send it to the Senate for ratification, and the president who drafted the 94 crime bill with Giuliani can sign his name to it. That's not Biden, according to the Anons, and I don't believe it either. But I think Trump's still running the whole show.
Fascinating info, Aaron.
Okay.
I'll let you finish that. I'll let you finish that one point, and then we'll move the wheels.
Oh, well, remember, Trump was in Moscow for a beauty pageant 10 years ago in 2013. And I think they discussed that BRICS stuff, which is backed in gold, and they have the Federal Reserve Chairman, Lord Rothschild's consent, and they're switching over from Bush and McCain to the new era. And with Trump doing that, we're not going to get left behind, as our currency is not going to be destroyed. But other than that, I think these laws can be defunded by AOC and Jim Jordan drafting a bill in the House of Representatives to get nonviolent people stopped arresting them. It's not the police's fault. They're just enforcing the code. And get these innocent people that are nonviolent, just the arrested people that are nonviolent drug offenders out of prison.
You ever thought about getting involved?
And off parole and out of the system.
You ever thought about getting involved in politics?
No, this is just my one specific issue.
Gotcha.
It goes on from here. And again, I'd love to talk to you and your crew a little bit more off the air because I'm really tired. But in the morning when I'm not so
no problem. Call me again on this, and we could do more on it.
Sir, I'm going to listen. I'll be thinking of you very
Thank
much.
you, sir.
I appreciate you for taking the time.
Anytime. Merry Christmas.
Okay, guys. Thank you very much. You and your crew.
Nice. Interesting stuff. I mean, about the drug war and all that. I don't know too much about that. I'll have to look into it myself. I find this somewhat interesting. You know, I was trying to ask Aaron about something a little different than that, though. I just wanted his thoughts on, they say nonviolent, right? And I called him an old school psychonaut, like an astronaut. This is an old term used for, he mentioned Terence McKenna. And there are other people like Terence McKenna who advocated for self-experimenting with psychedelics. And I say don't do that. I personally don't think that's a good idea. You're communing and opening doors that you don't really quite understand. I would advise against it. That being said, that's why I was wondering if he was from that era of, I guess you could say hippie. I don't know if that's a pejorative. I don't want to go around calling Aaron a hippie. But these guys who are into like an old school, I see him with a big old beard, looking like who's that pot smoker? Who's that pot smoker country guy? Who am I thinking of? Willie Nelson, looking like Willie Nelson with his jar of mushrooms and his mescaline and telling the government, hey man, stay out of my life, man. Stay out of my life, man. And so, not judging Aaron, I don't think that's what he is, but that's what I was thinking of, psychonauts and all that. And I was just wondering, you know, they say nonviolent. I heard this on the Hake Report. That's where I learned this. They say nonviolent offenders, but those people who are in for nonviolent offenses like drugs and pot and all that, they're usually involved with other things. Like that's what they got caught. They got caught with the drugs, and so they're nonviolent offenders, but they're usually quite violent. And not only that, you don't even need to get into all that. Because, I mean, anecdotally, I think statistically too, but I don't have them for you. But from what I can tell, using my eyes, there's whether you make it legal or illegal, whether it's legally framework or not, I don't care. From what I can tell, the drug world, I don't care what it is, psychedelics, alcohol, pot, that whole world has a dark side, has a dark underbelly, and I think it's I don't think it's a bug, I think it's a feature. I think it's part of the whole world. So, yeah, we can go around trying to get nonviolent drug offenders out, but that whole world is sordid. That whole world is something, it's not to judge yourself if you're like partaking and doing all that stuff, but just at least don't go around calling it good or that it's nothing or it's just, I'll quit whenever I want. Just have some awareness about it and don't call it anything other than what it is. You're taking a drug and you're not yourself. And there's something strange about that. I don't see God the Father wanting that for you, even if you have cannabinoid receptors. I just don't see God the Father wanting that for you. He gave us everything we need inside. Why would we need to go, unless for practical reasons, right? Painkillers, medication, I mean, that facilitated surgeries and all that. But that's not a justification for willy-nilly doing whatever you want. I'm thinking of someone in my chat said Joe Rogan's theory of recreational drug use. I don't know what the heck that is, but if that's an actual theory, it sounds like hogwash, like Joel Friday said. Joe Rogan's recreational drug advocacy. I mean, it sounds like crap. Straight up. It's a dark world. In my opinion. I wanted to show you this in the last few minutes of the show, and hopefully I can squeeze in the last calls after I plow through this. Okay, hypochondriacs. You know what that is? Hypochondria. It is the abnormal anxiety about one's health, especially with an unwarranted fear that one has a serious disease. Oh, okay, so you're crazy. I'm joking. The ladies at the Skim reporting on this. Hypochondriacs. Yesterday, a study found that people diagnosed with it had an increased risk of death compared to those who didn't have the fear of serious illness. Okay, you guys, you got to take this in. You got to take this one in. Hypochondriac paradox. Okay, this Swedish study, a large Swedish study has uncovered a paradox about people diagnosed with an excessive fear of serious illness. Imagine that. Just take that sentence in. To be diagnosed with an excessive fear of serious illness. So you're being diagnosed with an illness, but the illness is fear of illnesses that you don't have. So that's your illness. Okay, maybe you're following me. Turns out they tend to die earlier than people who aren't hypervigilant about health concerns. So I'm supposed to understand, if I'm supposed to look at this through the eyes of a doctor in this Swedish study, you got people with a illness, which is not a real illness, it's only in their mind, because this illness in their mind that's not real tells them that they have real illnesses that they don't have. But turns out that having this false illness that makes you think you have false illnesses that you don't have, it in fact gives you a real illness. It gives you a real illness. It makes you die earlier. So this false illness has symptoms. Let's see what these experts, what's their reasoning. Hypochondriasis, now called illness anxiety disorder, is a rare condition with symptoms that go beyond average health worries. People with the disorder are unable to shake their fears despite normal physical exams and lab tests. Some may change doctors repeatedly. Others may avoid medical care. In fact, many of us are mild hypochondriacs, but there are people on the other extreme of the spectrum who live in a perpetual state of worry and suffering and rumination about having a serious illness. Every time these doctors talk about mental illness, they always admit this little thing, that we all have a version of this. They'll say, we all are a little obsessively compulsive. We're all a little depressed. We all get angry. We all are mild hypochondriacs. But some people, they're an extreme case of this. And that's why they're diagnosed as depressed, diagnosed as anxious, diagnosed as hypochondriac. It's like, in there at all, Mr. Doctor, did you at all see any insight in that we all exhibit this? Okay, but no, fine, whatever. They don't see it. They don't quite see it. And so all this rumination and suffering is itself an illness. People with the disorder are suffering, and it's important to take it seriously and to treat it, says Dr. Alpert, who was not involved in the new study. Treatment can involve cognitive behavioral therapy, relaxation technique, and sometimes antidepressant medication. I love how the AP throws in sometimes when I've shown you on this show the incredible increase in the prescription of these things. We're now at the point where something like half of millennial women are all on antidepressants. It's incredible. Okay. The study, published Wednesday, addressed a clear gap in the literature. They looked at 4,000 people diagnosed with hypochondriasis and matched them with 41,000 people similar in age. Overall death rates were higher in the people with hypochondriasis, 8.5 versus 5.5 per 1,000 person years. People with the condition died younger than the others. Do you see the big old trick here? The big old trick is now hypochondriac is a real physical disease because it causes physical symptoms. But nowhere is there the insight that the people aren't sick of hypochondriasis, but they're believing the insanity of the mind, which these experts admit that all people do this to some degree. Now, experts, I wonder, don't you think that those people who all experience a mild hypochondriac, if they just went into their mind and went into the thoughts about hypochondria and they just exacerbated it and thought about it and obsessed over it more, wouldn't they be a full-blown hypochondriac like every other hypochondriac? This extends to anxious, depression. It's like, doctors, stay out of the mental world, okay? Stay out of the actually wrongfully called mental illness world. The correct term should be spiritual illness, psycho-spiritual illness. How about you stay out of that world, okay, doctors? Unless you could show me a chemical imbalance with your fancy tools, then stay out of it. Oh, you're depressed. Show me the chemical imbalance, which has never been shown. Show me the brain structures that are broken that's causing me anxiety. Also just a theory. Just guessing. That's what these doctors are doing. Show me anyways. You see what I'm saying here? If only there was a doctor to tell these hypochondriacs, hey, you have anger and you have a spirit speaking to you in your mind. Stay in your lane, anger. That's funny. So, yeah, stay in your lane, doctors. You don't know what you're talking about. Mental. Stay in your lane. The hypochondriac paradox. What a mess. You know, I was going to segue this into an interesting related thing. And I won't go too much deeper into it, but I just came across this post. You know what? We'll go into this. Ed Krasenstein. He posted this. image from Fox News with the caption, "How do you explain this if it has nothing to do with systematic racism?" And he puts this picture up of America's racial wealth gap, $17,000 net worth of a black family on average, according to Brookings, compared to the $171,000 net worth of a white family. According to this is America's racial wealth gap. Speaking of hypochondriacs, making up stuff in their minds, this person, Ed Krasenstein, who I know nothing about, but this person is saying, how do you explain this if it has nothing to do with systematic racism, right? And, okay. I mean, just going into the comments here. Just going into the comments here. That's a bad observation, in my opinion, says Benjamin. Asian households are at 300,000. So is the system against whites? No, it's personal responsibility, culture, and families. You know, this other person, there was someone who said something interesting. I can't find it anymore. Where someone said, oh, I think it's this one right here. Benny Johnson. Benny Johnson replies to Ed, white liberals are destroying the black family unit through incentivizing fatherlessness and creating permanent welfare dependency. Interesting point. I don't want to take away responsibility from blacks, but hey, fair point, I think, Benny Johnson. I think. Ed Krasenstein responds, can you honestly say that's all it comes down to, though? Matt Wallace responds, can you point to which specific systematic racism you believe is responsible? Ed Krasenstein responds, I honestly don't know. What the heck? So we go all the way to the top, and this guy's talking like this, and you go into the comments, and in the replies, he's like, actually, I have no clue. Honestly, I can't say there is. I honestly don't know, but I'm asking for you to explain what the cause is if it's not that. There has to be a cause, right? Systematic racism is definitely one of the strong possibilities. This is how these people think. It's a strong possibility. Can someone say hypochondriac? Can someone diagnose Ed Krasenstein? Because we're giving him, people here are giving him possible reasons that are not what he thinks. And he's like, no, it has to be systematic racism. Like, it definitely is that, right? Can we talk about hypochondriac here? People with conspiracy theories. This person's going to have an early death if he keeps thinking like this. If he keeps coming up with conspiracy theories and stressing about them inside. Or is he just like a not in good faith, not arguing in good faith. And you know what? I'm seeing all the comments here, and people are saying interesting things. One person here says it's called culture. Some cultures are just better than the others, and that is a fact. And I don't disagree with that comment. I don't disagree with that comment at all. But even culture, folks, even overcome all things. You can even overcome culture. I'm an American anchor baby. Someone called me and said, oh, they go hard on you with the anchor baby stuff, but I don't feel nothing, which is surprising. It's not like I don't get offended. Ask the coworkers. But that doesn't offend me even a little bit. What are you, Nick? What are you? Pick a side, pick a team, be American, be Canadian. You can overcome that too. I'm blessed I don't have to make that decision. So I'm not disagreeing with Rex here. Some cultures are better than others, but even that. Because culture, that's just another thing you have to live up to. Culture is just another thing you got to live up to. And people tell you, oh, this is your culture, and then you got to live up to it, and then you don't. And it's more of that push and pull relationship in your life that you want to get rid of. It's the push and pull that's keeping you away from peace. I know, because it keeps me from peace. You don't want that. It's not natural. Anyways, folks, what can I tell you? That's pretty much the show. I do have one caller. And I kind of get to do whatever I want, don't I? There's no one after me. Brody, you're the last caller of today since you were holding for a while. Brody from Texas, first-time caller. You're on the air.
Greetings, American Anchor Baby. How are you today?
No complaints, Brody. Thank you for your call. I'm doing great.
Man, that last guy was way too intellectual about the drug stuff.
Yeah, I was trying to ask him something. Interesting information.
Well, I mean, people shouldn't be locked up unless they've caused harm to another or their property or something like that, right?
Fair enough.
But to get that intellectual about it, I think he's, I don't know.
He said it sounded like it was his thing. He sounded very knowledgeable about it.
Yeah, absolutely. He seems to be an expert on the subject, and nothing wrong with that per se. But I wonder what would happen if he spent all those hours, building his own land or something like that.
Nice, man.
The reason I called, I think his name was Scott.
Oh, Steve.
And
I don't think a Scott called today. I bet you talking about Steve.
Must have been Steve. He was talking about the middleman, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Steve then. I get what he's saying, and for years I worked for other people, and one day I just decided, you know what, I'm not going to do that anymore. Rather work for myself. In doing that, though, you take on all the risk, right? So if you don't get stuff done or you don't find the jobs or contracts or whatever, then you're not getting a paycheck.
Right.
So
the employee still gets their paycheck. That's a good point.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's more rewarding at the end of the day when you get the work done and you get all your bills paid and then you have a little to invest or whatever. But it's not like you can just go in 9 to 5 and clock out. Some of those times you're going to have to work 16, 18-hour days.
That's a good point, man. It makes me think about how we may have the wrong motivations in our mind with what we're doing. We think it's way deeper than it is. For example, I'm going to go work for this company because, like Steve was saying, that why do they get to have all these benefits and you're working for them and they choose your salary and all that? But you're not going to this company to build your own thing. You're going to that company to work for them, and you're going to get your skills and you're going to get a little moolah so that you may possibly do your own thing.
I think you nailed it on the head right there when you said the skills, because that pays more than than any paycheck ever would. There's a lot of things that I do now that I didn't know several years ago.
Yep.
And I didn't go to school for any of it. I just went to people that knew about it.
Nice.
Did some work for free. In exchange for that, talking to them and learning as much information as I could from them in a short period of time, like welding, sawmilling, stuff like that. I didn't know 5 years ago, and
you were self-motivated to do so. How can anybody not self-motivated be expected to have any of that? That's interesting.
Yeah, and instead of going and spending months of my time going to a school or something, it's just stuff I needed to do for myself and my land. I just went to the people that were close by that knew about it and worked for free for, a handful of days or a couple weeks or whatever, and picked their brain the whole time, right?
Sounds manly.
Sounds what?
Manly.
Well, I mean...
Let's go.
Several years ago, I took some advice from JLP and got a little piece of land.
Oh, nice.
And I looked for a long, long time. I didn't have much money or whatnot. It's just me and my son. So I had to find something for the right deal, and it took me over the course of 2 years to find the right little piece of property out here in Texas. Finally found one that meets my budget, that I didn't have to take a loan out or anything, and had no clue what I was doing. And it's
one day at a time.
A journey. And that's what he was saying. Like, every man should have some land. I think that's what he was getting at. I don't think the government should give it to you for free necessarily.
Fair enough. Yeah, I feel like those people would squander it.
Yeah, exactly. You get stuff for free and you don't appreciate it. You don't put the work in.
And you know what? The Americans from before were fine without the government giving it to them. I'm not saying there's I'm not saying there's not issues that need to be dealt with the economy and how easy it is to buy a home, and that's all difficult. But the Americans before us were fine without the government giving them land. I know that's simple, but I think it's true.
Yeah, and you guys talk a lot about all the news and politics and the, like you said, the economy. And oftentimes when I'm listening to y'all's shows, I'm literally working on my own land, sawmilling wood to build my house, working on the tractor to build the garden and stuff like that. And I'm just sitting there laughing, like none of this stuff really affects me out here, right?
Right. Deep. That's right on, man. Set up your life. That's awesome. If you do it, it's possible.
It's not an easy task. It's not an easy task. A lot of people wouldn't know the first step. I didn't know the first step. But you just take one step at a time. When this little property that we're on right now, I mean, it was just solid woods when we got here. And I was like, well, I can't even see anything. What's the first step? Let's brush hog some of the brush so I can see. The next step, oh, well, I don't want to build right here by the road. Let's carve a driveway and figure out how to do that.
Right on, man. Well, thank you, Brody.
Thirsty. I need some water, right? So you just take one step at a time and build it up. But I do completely agree with Jesse. The first step is just getting a little piece of land and making it yours. Whether that has a house on it or not, I don't think that really matters. Just be a man, get some land, and take it one day at a time.
Right on, Brody. Awesome call. Thank you for your call. Anything else you want to say before we go here?
No, man. Y'all have a great day.
Take care, Brody. Call me again.
Bye-bye.
Beautiful. That's the show. What can I tell you, folks? The calls. We did the calls. We did the super chats. Oh, we didn't do all of them, though. Lily Poo. Thank you, Lily Poo. Says, have a great night, you all. Is it nighttime for you, Lily Poo? No way. DJ 2020. Texas Northeast side is nice. Is that so? Yep. Some people have Munchausen by proxy. That's making your children sick for attention. Talk about a psycho. Interesting point, Lily Poo. Right on, y'all. That's the show. Join me tomorrow for more America. Wait, tomorrow we got Nick Street. We're flying Anchor Baby Airlines. Should be nice. Don't miss it. Around 4 p.m. Pacific time. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss when we go live. It's going to be a nice flight. We love taking these flights, don't we? And that's it from me. See y'all tomorrow, 4 p.m. around there. Should be a nice show. Should be a nice flight. Open line Friday on the JLP show. The Hake Report as always. And no Fallen State. No new episode this week, Fallen State. But don't fret. We will be going live 4 p.m. American Anchor Baby as your captain on Anchor Baby Airlines. All right, y'all. That's it from me. Bye. And Lil Nick's got to say bye too. Bye.